Hello, my name is Aruna Metler. My nickname is Dolly, and I'm going to show you today how to resin an artwork. I'm going to start with the one that I have been working on. I use resin from these boxes. This is 16 ounce and this is 8 ounce. So you can choose whichever one you feel you have the need depending on the size of your artwork. Okay, and the next step is to mix the resin. I bought this plastic jug from actually the dollar store because after you use it, you literally have to throw it away. You cannot reuse the measuring cup or the plastic jug or mug, whatever you're using. And you have to pour them at the same time so that it's equal quantity. It has to be exactly the same. It cannot be one more than the other because it will not mix well and then it will not show properly on your artwork. Okay, I try to squeeze as much as I can, and it will keep dripping for a while, but I think I'm just going to get rid of these bottles. I'll throw them in the garbage. And then I'm going to use the 16 ounce bottles. So you can see they're just dripping out. Takes a while. And there's different artworks that I'm going to be doing today. My late husband used to help me with all these, and I really miss him. He used to mix the resin. And then I usually have an old knife or a fork to mix this. This liquid has to be mixed for 2 minutes, and it's a lot of fun. You know, that's when I miss my husband again, to keep mixing it. And you'll see bubbles forming. I usually have a clock that I look at the timing, or you can put a timer on. So usually I end up doing it for a little more than 2 minutes because I want to be sure that it's mixed well. You want to see it gets thicker and thicker. And sometimes I switch hands because my hand gets tired. And we're going to start with this artwork that I have been talking about. I'm going to start pouring it. And this is the way I start. And if it's too much, then I will just pour it on the other painting. What I do is I hold it up like this, and then you try to change the sides so it goes into all the crevices of the glass where the glass is. You see the resin moving? It moves pretty slowly, but it really needs to get to every bit of the artwork for its best effect. It will end up looking like glass once it's dry. And I usually don't frame my paintings, but if you want to, you can, because the resin really gives them a really good finish. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sponge and I'm going to try to move the resin a little bit, just like a brush. going to also put it on the sides, because the sides have to be also resined. Okay. It is a very sticky substance. It will stick to anything it touches. So I'm going to pour some more because I want it to get to every part of the painting. Oops. So I'm still going to keep. And what I do sometimes if I think the resin's going to drip and if I have other artwork, I will just hold it over that. And this way I don't waste any. It is kind of expensive. It's not something you want to waste. So this way I know that it's now getting to the sides. Okay, I'm going to put it back on containers here. And after you apply it, you really have to keep watching. The resin will move. It's a very tricky liquid. Okay, now I'm going to go to the next artwork. And I will come back to this one. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pour. And I'm going to use most of it. You want to make sure you cover every bit. So, okay, now I'm going to put this aside. Don't need that anymore right now. And now I'm going to swish around the resin on this one here. Okay, I want to make sure I do the sides. Okay. These brushes are great because you can just use them and just throw them away and they will not change or hurt your artwork in any way. They're absolutely wonderful. Now I'm going to try to move around the resin and hold it up so it can spread around. And I'm just going to move this out of the way. I have a little artwork here which I'm just going to pour over it so I don't waste any resin. Oops. So you end up dripping anyway. So it is complicated, it's not easy to use. You do get used to using it eventually. Alright, I need to do this little piece so that doesn't start drying up. Oops. Okay. Now I'm going to move it to the other side so it can go into the other nooks and crannies that it missed. You know, just like an English muffin has crevices, these paintings also have crevices because of the glass. So you have to sort of make sure that it gets into every crevice so the artwork can look completely finished. Oops. All right. So I rest it in the plastic containers so it doesn't stick anywhere. And I'm going to now sort of try to move it around a bit. Whoops. Okay, these spoons I have, you can use to collect the resin that's dripping and then put it back on the painting. All right, now always try to eyeball. Did I miss any spot? Yes, I did. Right here. Okay. And then I keep scooping up the resin that's dripping, because if you don't do that, the drips will dry up and they'll become part of your artwork, and you don't want that. Try to collect as much as possible. I'm going to now go back to the other artwork. I do see some parts missing here. Alright, so we're back to the winter scene now, and let's see how that's doing. Alright, I see some parts missing. Do not let the resin touch your skin, because if you do, it will stick to it and it's very hard to wash it off. You basically cannot wash it off. See, the resin is moving around now. Because I thought, oh, I had covered that spot, but no, it moved. It moved here. So it will move, so you have to kind of keep an eye on it. I call this babysitting for my paintings, because that's what it is. You want to make sure that turns out right. You know, it's just like when you dress a little child. You want to make sure they look good, because they don't know how they're going to look if they're not dressed properly. So you kind of help them along. Alright, I'm going to check this again. See, do not touch this with your skin. Oops. This one, there's not much drips, so that's a good sign. Alright, I see piece moved here, it's missing. You have to keep looking between the glasses where you have applied the glass, because you will not be able to, I see now here, there are drips over here. And I see some pieces that move around here. And sometimes resin will be like accumulate more in one area than the other. It depends, you know, if you have used glass on one side and it just decides to. And then make sure these are under the corners, because that will keep the balance of the painting. I'm going to go back to this other artwork. It's dripping more because it probably got more resin. And I see a big piece here. It missed, so I'm just going to brush it away. Alright, let me make sure I've got all the nooks and crannies. No, it moved here, you see. Because sometimes the glass that I apply, it's of different sizes, It can be thick, it can be thin, depending on the color I need. And it will move. The resin will move around it. And sometimes it just leaves a little gaps here and there. So you have to make sure. You see there's still drips coming, so I want to make sure I get as many as I can. And if you drip it back on the painting, it's not going to ruin it. In fact, it will just blend in very, very easily. So I'm going to check this one more time.